Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I'm Bancroft being joined by a few people this time, and that would be Jimmy, Jake, and Matt.
Howdy.
What's going on, y'all?
Hey everybody, what's up?
And today is our first round for our cheese rolling competition. Jimmy, what's the city again?
Somewhere in England, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. And we have Pepperjack versus Parmesan, which in case you're confused, Jake is Pepperjack and Jimmy is Parmesan. So like always hit those buttons because they're there for a reason. Wait, did I mess that up? No, I didn't. I heard whoops in the background. It threw me off. But with that being said, guys, go over your decks and take it away.
All right, so I'm playing Towa again. I've been having a lot of fun with the deck. This is the same build as you've seen in the deck profile. I do have some ideas that I want to change in it after playing it this night. For our particular locals, there's some very particular decks that just straight up beats Towa. So I'm trying to strengthen the matchups in those. But in most cases, Towa is pretty good in every matchup, especially the aggressive matchups. Which I was telling Jake, I was shit talking to him. I was like, "Hey, don't aggro me out, bro. I can't handle aggro," because I was really hoping he was going to aggro me out.
Well, I had a little bit of knowledge of the deck, and honestly, after playing against it, I'm looking to build a version of this too. This looks like a lot of fun to pilot.
Dude, I've loved it. I'm a big fan of Towa. As you can see, I have the Towa mat. I'm a big fan of Xenoverse in general. Like Mira and Towa are two of my favorite characters in the entire series. And you respond with your own BMS, which is hilarious.
Yeah, Card has only grew in popularity since it's come out.
It's been like a roller coaster. Like it was really good, then it went away, and now it's back.
Dude, a BMS is just too good in the current meta. There are so many decks that just spam out 15Ks, and a well-placed BMS can just save you an entire turn from getting stormed off on.
Oh, I've had games where it has completely floodgated my opponent to the point where once they remove it, I just lose.
We had a game a couple weeks ago where we played Lord Slug versus it, and you shut me down for those first couple of turns, and it really hurt.
Yeah.
I did forget to reveal right there. I did bottom deck, I think, the 4-drop Slug. I forgot to reveal that it was a Xeno card, but it was a Xeno card.
I trust you.
Yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't. But so Bancroft has wanted, in all the recordings today, asked us to explain basically what the decks want to do. So, Jake, do you want to explain what Shroom Salsa wants to do?
So my version of Shroom Salsa is kind of a weird sort of swarm deck where my goal isn't really to go super tall with battle cards until the mid game. Really, I kind of just want to value out and floodgate my opponent with cards like Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan and just gain a lot of value off of my leader and cards that I can play for free, like this Gohan that's in my energy area and the one I'm comboing with here. And really, I don't think in its current form it's fully realized. I've got it somewhere between the traditional Shroom and Salsa archetype and the skillless swarm I'm looking for, and I don't think the cards exist currently to put it firmly in either camp, but I still think it's a fun deck to play around with at locals.
Oh, for sure.
Now, this is the profile that I tried to do. I feel like I did a decent job going over it.
I thought you did a good job. I actually have been working a ton this month and couldn't really find the time to profile it, but I'll be back to profile some more decks in the future.
So, real quick, I can't remember Buddy Krillin's order of operations. Does it play a card first, then neg? Or
yes, unfortunately.
Okay.
So he did have to. I guess he could have just chose not to play a Shroom, but you're losing a lot of value on training Buddy Krillin if you don't take that the ability to play a card. So I do think pitching the two and also removing it is still very, very good. And I think that's one of the bigger strengths of training Buddy Krillin in this deck is due to how much Black Mass Saiyan puts a pressure on or a damper on Shroom and Salsa's game ability.
And I do run a few overrealms, so I do want a few cards in my drop area. And just based off our hand sizes at this point, even with the value from my leader, I don't think I can catch Jimmy in hand size. So what I'm looking for is more card quality here. So I don't really care to take control of the board and discard 2 cards I have multiple copies of or aren't as useful at the time.
So if you are not familiar with what Towa wants to do, Towa is in this particular build, is a defensive powerhouse. It puts so many just really, really good defensive cards on field. And it's an interesting deck in that you play basically 2 forms of defense, a passive defense, then a active defense. And I'll get more into that once some other cards hit the field. But the Slug that I put out right there, he is a blocker that when he is KO'd or removed by an opponent's skill, you can pay 1 and then play the 9-drop Slug from your deck, which is also a blocker that can block twice and then also has effects if it's removed by your opponent's skill. So it forces your opponent to play very cautiously and play around these big body blockers. And if you have the right setup, you can basically stop 5 to 6 attacks in 1 turn, which is, or if you have the hand size, you can block basically infinite attacks once you have the 6-drop Slug in rest mode. And opponent has no way of removing it, which does come out in this.
It's just such an insanely useful defensive chain.
Mm-hmm. I always compared it to, I always called Towa a control AOD, in that you play all these cards for really cheap that have really good effects, but they're all really, really good in the defensive side of things, where AOD tends to be more aggressive. Towa is more reserved in the amount of attacks, but goes a lot taller in its attacks.
And I know we've spoken on the channel a little bit about it before, but just the value in the Ultimate deck that recently came out, I think that's probably the best product, like value for dollar wise, that Bandai has ever come out with for this game.
It is wonderful, and it has fixed so many issues. Like, I've been trying to get new players into the game, and a lot of people, when I ask, hey, are you interested in like more aggressive matchups? And they go, okay, well, they're going to lean more towards red, because red has a lot of aggressive and mid-range options. And Topo has been a barrier because they don't want to spend, $7-8 on a card that they need 4 of in their deck. And that is, the Ultimate decks put Topo at like $1 now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's not just that. I mean, you're getting the Crit Frieza, which is ways an undervalued card. You're getting a booster pack, which I think the MSRP on it is 18. You throw in a booster pack, you're essentially then paying 14 for the deck itself.
Oh yeah,
and
all being foil as well on top of that. Like,
yeah, and the new Towa stuff is just so strong, and I think long term it won't be limited to this build.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the cards have already, been played in other decks. Like I know the Red Broly has been played in Dark Broly, and it has been a fantastic addition to that deck. Like, every card in that deck has some sort of value in certain matchups. You see the 4-drop Boo played in Majin Vegeta, and that's a excellent card that I just comboed off right there. I think that the Ultimate deck has been the best product this game has put out, period.
Well, it's essentially a way, a new player can buy 2 of them for $40 and literally on the spot, and I'm not trying to quote the Bandai product description, but enter a tournament and be competitive with those cards.
Yeah. I mean, I have put maybe, I do run the set Slug package, which is also a very cheap package. And if you roll up at a locals, somebody there is going to have extras of those cards. Like,
if you come to our locals, we guarantee you've got extras.
We guarantee you will walk away with some bulk if you need it. But I run the expansion set Towas. I don't think they're needed. I think I've only activated its skill once. I usually only use it to search out a Dark Dragon Ball, and even then, I don't really need to, because the deck draws a significant amount of cards, or you draw the cards that you need, I should say.
Jimmy, what is the SCR in your deck?
So I'm currently running in this build. I'm running the Majin Buu, the Jinimbu, or Buu-Nimba, whatever you want to call it. Just because I really like the card. Jinim is one of my favorite characters. I do think I'm going to switch to sell Xeno, since it can be played in the deck and can be searched off of my Dark Dragon Ball.
Which is just disgusting. That card did not need any help.
Oh my god, dude. It is so satisfying to pay 0 energy for a Dark Dragon Ball and go, oops, there's my Cell X. 7 cards from the top of the deck. It would have taken me 7 turns, or how many turns to draw into it. And it's like, okay, now it's just consistent. I'm going to put Cell X on the board.
Especially combined with that slug package you run. Like, it's pretty consistent. You're going to have 3 green 4-drops around.
I mean, with the Unison alone plays 3 green or 3 cards with Xeno in their name that are 3 or less. Towa reduces the cost of all the cards in your hand by 1. So I can play 3 4-drops off of minusing 3 on the Unison, and then drop Cell X on top of that, which I do actually activate the Unison, which is just disgusting. And you see the devastation that it can put on the board, which plays into the idea that I call this AOD, but control, because I'm just spamming out all of these really good cards for no energy. So the slug, your opponent has the option of putting their Unison in the drop area, or both players draw a card and then you KO all of your opponent's battle cards. And
playing 2 of them at the same time, I really don't have a very good option here.
Exactly.
I think you and I discuss it back and forth for a bit.
Yeah, so we were talking here and you're like, well, I don't have an option. And I was like, well, you can choose. I'm going to KO the battlefield both times and just keep your Unison, which is kind of the bad part about having to play them all at the same time. I do like to, if I have another one in hand, and or if I can risk tapping 3 to play it, I like putting the slug out, having the opponent go, oh, I'll just get my Unison, then follow it up immediately with another slug for 3 energy and go, well, you can't hit the Unison now, so wipe your field.
Yeah.
It's just so good. And, the opponent drawing cards, it sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. And then that 4-drop Boo, you search top 7 and you play a Xeno card with an energy cost of 9 or less. So I chose the 6-drop Slug. If you don't know what he does, he is a triple striker that while he's in res mode, your opponent can only attack him. Or cannot attack your leader card in Unison, I should say. So I spent 0 energy and amassed that field on this turn, which is just absurd.
That's gross.
And I haven't even awakened yet. I haven't even spent any of my energy, so I can still spam the field and awaken and have energy open to defend myself, even though I really don't need a defense, because with the Boos in rest mode, your opponent has to drop 2 to attack the leader card. I have a slug that says your opponent cannot attack your leader card, and then I have a dual attack block or a dual blocker. So you have a lot to get through just to be able to touch my leader.
After you just wiped my field.
Yeah. It's almost secret rare levels of power in terms of the card effects for commons from a set and a
structure deck.
Just incredibly powerful. I play out another Towa just to search the top for the Dark Dragon Ball. There's nothing really I need, but just being able to put a Dark Dragon Ball in my hand and get combo power into my hand is good enough, being able to play it and grab a Xeno from the deck. I do not run Dark Broly's in this list. I might put some in there just to have more targets for my card effects. But I mean, as you see, I already have enough defensive. I don't really need the ability to warp cards from my opponent's field. I don't need to warp cards from my opponent's hand, even though that would be nice.
Are you able to resolve your Unison's -3 multiple times a game?
I mean, yeah, if I can put multiple out there, yeah, I can -3. You
can only affect the Unison's markers once per turn per card.
Yeah, you can only do it once per turn, But if I, next turn, if I somehow got my unison back up to 3 markers, if I, paid 3 for another unison, I could resolve it again.
During your next, there's a specific timing on that
Yeah.
unison in particular, but yeah.
Yeah, the auto happens at the beginning of the main phase, and you have to have 4 energy. So turn 3 going into 4 is when you can, is the best time to activate it. Because that's usually the pivotal turn in most decks. So you had already established your field. You were about to go even wider on your next turn.
Yep.
And, I was able to just shut that down off of, my turn 3 into turn 4. So I think right here you were like, oh shit, that's a triple striker.
Yeah, I did not know he was triple strike in addition to being a deadly defender. That card is disgusting.
It's so good. And being able to be played off of that boo is just nuts. And it's not unique. So if I had the ability to put another one on field, if I had 2 green energy, I think I had one in my hand. If I had 2 green energy, I could tap 2 and evolve on top of my 4-drop slug and have 2 of those setting on field, which is just beyond disgusting.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, at this point, I don't really know what I can do. I've been set so far back, and at the same time, you've shot so far ahead. Mentally, I'm pretty much out of this game. My hand size is small. My resources are limited. I really have to save everything here for defense if I have any kind of hope of surviving. Your life total is low, so if I can get around your battle card somehow, maybe I could amount a victory, but things are looking grim for old Shroom and Salsa.
Yeah, I think at this point in the game, you were just like, I really just don't know what to do, because there is nothing you really can do with having no cards on field and only 3 energy, which I think you did not charge. I don't remember if you forgot to or you just didn't want to.
I didn't want to. I remember. I didn't have enough resources to charge. I didn't think the energy would really get me anything here.
Mm-hmm. And you play that Mecha Ghidorah. That Mecha Ghidorah is so good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I remember you being like, they come out in active mode? And I was like, yeah. Really, this Towa is what makes this Mecha Ghidorah worth playing.
Oh, for sure.
The fact that you get to proc the auto twice off of the Mecha Ghidorah usage is really, really nice.
Oh, for sure. That Towa alone, I have always had high praises on that Towa, especially the 4-drop Towa from the it was not an expansion
Ultimate
set.
box?
It was one of the what are they called? Why am I forgetting the name of them? Where you get like 3 or 4 packs and you get this extra card.
Premium or
Premium packs.
Premium packs. Yeah, even that 4-drop Towa is not bad as well. That evolves from 1 on top of a 2-drop Towa.
Yeah.
It's not a bad option. And one of the great things about Towa as well is that it gives your opponent a incentive to remove cards, but it also punishes them for doing it as well. So the reason that I put the extra 2-drop slug blocker out there is that I thought you had a way to remove my big boy blocker, and then I had another option to get another 9-drop out on the field.
I didn't really have too much going for me in this hand. I'm really just digging for extra combo power with Towa and hoping not to die.
There's such a defensive wall on my field that a field wipe is really the only thing you can do to be able to put a lot of damage through. Otherwise, if you still get through my 6-drop slug, you get through my blocker, you can only have maybe 1 or 2 attacks left to deal damage.
Yep. And I don't have enough energy for Black Smoke Dragon, and since Dragon Balls happens at the end of the turn, even the black board wipes are kind of out of the question at this point.
Mm-hmm. Which that is an issue with Towa, and right here it's over. Like,
yeah.
I'm swinging 25k, two super combos on top of that, and I still have more attacks left in the chamber.
Yeah, I didn't have the hand size left to survive even that combo.
Yeah, Towa is built on the idea of just having extreme value off of every single card that you play, and giving your opponent a dilemma of, do I try to remove these because it's going to make my job easier, but it's also going to punish me when I do that? And is the punishment worth the, the 1 or 2 attacks that I'm going to get out of doing that?
And
hard
honestly,
balance.
I think to beat Towa, you have to remove them, and you just have to eat it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way Matt got me in the second round, is that he was willing to remove those cards and was willing to take the punishment, and was just able to slip in enough aggro to kill me out, even though it was just one tiny window he had. Because next turn, I was just going to build that field once again because I had my unison. I was about to resolve it again and build up that defense that I had before Matt removed it. Unfortunately, that game was not on camera. That was a very, very good game, and I really wish we could have got that to show how you have to maneuver your plans to get that little bit of damage in that you need.
That's the thing about recording locals, where we don't set games or like stack decks for camera or like script matches. Sometimes the best games happen off camera, and it just sucks.
I mean, you're all going to well, this is day 1 video, so I have a fun interaction in my duel compared to my off-camera duels, let's put it that way, without giving anything away.
Of course. But yeah, like I think Towa is a serious sleeper right now, and there's a lot of very different builds you can take with the deck to take it in many different directions. While I play a more defensive deck, there are more aggressive decks running the Janemba package, and more of these weird hybrid decks, which I think are really, really cool and that I want to try out maybe at future locals.
So pick up those ultimate decks, guys.
Yeah, for real. Like I think even if you don't have any interest in playing Towa, the cards that are in there are worth buying the ultimate deck for alone. It's a seriously good product, and I really, really hope that we see more products like it in the future from Bandai.
Great job, Bandai. S+.
So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't already, there's buttons. Click them. All right, cool. Let's go into a round of last words. Matt.
I think with Towa, you've got to eat it. With some of the cards, you have to sacrifice 2 cards to remove. You have to pay a penalty to swing. You don't have a choice. You've got to power through, rely on cards that neg or auto KO, and just deal with it. Because otherwise, if you let that board stay, you're done.
If you want to win, you have to practice. And if you want good practice, pick up some good cards. Grab those ultimate decks, $18.99 MSRP at your local game store. Remember to buy cards at your local game store, not Walmart.
By Bandai. This
We
is
are
not
not.
an advertisement.
But Bandai, hit us up if you want.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
that's all.
Bandai, if you want to pay us,
I mean, we'll sell your stuff
I
for
will
you
get
for
a
free.
tattoo
But,
that says, "Hey, buy an ultimate deck."
yeah, but seriously though, guys, you can't play Dragon Ball at Walmart, so don't buy your Dragon Ball cards at Walmart.
That's definitely. Jimmy.
I don't know. It doesn't burn when I pee anymore, so like I think that era is gone. But I don't know. Maybe it's Valentine's Day. I'll get lucky, and maybe it'll start burning when I pee again.
Fair enough. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. And like always, read your cards, know your plays, fluff out.